Hello everyone, welcome back to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about Magic, Commander, and anything else while I try and drag this whole mental health thing back to where it's supposed to be. Now, today I want to talk about something I've noticed about myself sometimes. Have you ever been, sitting down and pulling cards because you're like, oh, this would work really well with this, and this would work really well with that, and you start, piecing together a deck that way, only to read the commander and realize it doesn't do what you initially thought it did? Because that happened to me recently. Uh, we're we were doing a thing, me, my cousin, and a couple of friends, where we drafted 4 booster boxes and then had to build commander decks out of that. And I ended up with just a buttload of legendary creatures, but one caught my eye, and not necessarily for building for that little competition we're doing. I just liked the look of it, and that's Bruce Tarl, Roving Rancher from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction set. So it's 2, a red and a white, for a 4/3 human warrior. It says Oxen you control have double strike, and whenever he attacks or enters, exile the top card of your library. If it's a land card, create a 2/2 white ox creature token. Otherwise, you may cast it until the end of your next turn. So, what my brain didn't comprehend was you only make the 2/2 ox if it's something he exiled that's a land. So all of the things that I was pulling that were like, oh, exile a thing, you can play them, none of that triggers him. And so I cut it all. In addition to the, I don't know, there's 10 red and or white ox creatures. I'm also packing, changelings into that list. But mostly, it's going to revolve around getting Bruce Tarl out and attacking with Bruce Tarl. So, yeah, I just kind of had to, completely pivot how I was building the deck. And I don't necessarily want to say it completely stole the momentum I had. I still have a game plan, and there's still, ways to trigger him multiple times in a turn. It's just now you have to do it with the extra combats, right? But mostly it's just it's gonna be a weird red white token deck that very specifically wants to make one kind of token over and over again. Yeah, I'll talk about that more in the second part of the podcast, because I'll kind of go over where my head is with that. I just wanted to point out that that was a mistake I had made recently. Not that I don't make many other ones, but that said, yeah, I just wanted to get it out there that, even those of us who are brewers and we just enjoy throwing decks together, we make mistakes all the time. Whether that's misreading a card or trying to force something because, we like a specific card. It just kind of goes to show that, even somebody like me who has, let's see, what, it's 2025, so 12 years of experience after playing, standard, modern, legacy, commander, pioneer, I still make mistakes. There's just nothing to be done for it. That said, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about today. I really just want to touch on how disappointing Secret Lair has become since they changed from the way they were doing it to now they print just a set amount and then they sell them till they're gone. One, not only are they leaving money on the table, they're just making the worst queuing possible. So the last Secret Lair I bought was the Sonic the Hedgehog one. Because, you know, I wanted to see how long I would have to wait in the queue to get one when it released. 3 hours to queue for one Secret Lair. Which is ridiculous. Now, yes, if their stock prices, or if their stock exceeds the demand originally, they will still be available on the website later, and they might say low stock or whatever, but it makes it harder for the people that actually want this product to get it. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if somebody wants the product, they're willing to spend the money on it. But now you're making it harder for them to spend the money on it. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, business-wise, I guess is the best way I could put it. And yeah, so anyway, that said, I will say, in terms of Secret Lairs that are still available, there's really only one that even piques my interest, and that's the Secret Lair God of War Norse Foil Edition. The Greek would have been interesting to me as well, but that one is unfortunately sold out. Yeah, so it's got your Kratos' stoic father and boy being Atreus, Impulsive Son. So it gives you a Jeskai color scheme, with Kratos being 2 a red and a white, and Atreus being 1 a blue and a red. Yeah, so let's see here, because I was thinking about building this at one point, but then I also thought maybe instead we just go 5 color. I don't know. Anyway, so Kratos is 2 a red and a white for a 4/4 god warrior. Whenever you attack with one or more gods, and whenever a god dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, put a number of +1/+1 counters on target creature equal to the number of experience counters you have. And then it has partner, father, and son, so you can partner it with Atreus. Atreus, Impulsive Son, is 1 blue and red for a 2/4 god archer. It has reach, and you can pay 3, tap it to draw a card for each experience counter you have, then discard a card. Atreus deals 2 damage to each opponent. And again, it has the partner for father and son. So there's 2 ways I was thinking about doing this. You could do the Jeskai gods and just try and grind out value that way, or you can find anything else that deals with experience counters in the Jeskai colors and just kind of shove them all together. But yeah, that said, I am gonna take a quick break, and then when I come back, I'm gonna talk about that Bruce Tarl deck. Alright, and welcome back. Now, once again, we're going to be talking about Bruce Tarl, Roving Rancher, and the direction that I shifted to after realizing his ability did not work the way I wanted it to work. That said, Bruce Tarl, Roving Rancher is 2 a red and a white for a 4/3 human warrior. Oxen you control have double strike, and then whenever he enters or attacks, exile the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you make a 2/2 white ox creature token. Otherwise, you may cast it till the end of your next turn. So, I want there to be Ox in the deck first and foremost. And yeah, so let's get into that. So first off, before we get into the things that are technically Oxes, let's talk about the ones that are Oxes. Alright, so first up, we have the Arc Runner, which is 2 and a red for an elemental ox with haste. At the beginning of your end step, you sacrifice it, but it's a 5/1, which means if you can get through with it and Brustaro's out, it deals 10 damage that turn. Next up, we have Bartered Cow, which is 3 and a white for an ox. It's a 3/3. When it dies or when you discard it, you make a food token. We have Bulwark Ox, which is a 2-mana 2/2 ox mount. That whenever it attacks while saddled, you put a counter on target creature, and you can sacrifice that creature to give creatures you control with counters on them hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. Next up, we have the Charging Cinderhorn, which is 3 and a red for a 4/2 elemental ox with haste. And at the beginning of each player's end step, if no creature is attacked this turn, you put a Fury counter on Charging Cinderhorn, and then the Cinderhorn deals damage equal to the number of Fury counters on it to that player. Next up, we have the Earth Origin Yak, 3 and a white for a 2/4 ox. When enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. We have the best pun in the deck, which is Holy Cow, 2 and a white for a 2/2 Ox Angel with Flash flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life and scry 1. We have Liberated Livestock, which is 5 and a white for a 4/6 Cat Bird Ox. And when that dies, you make a 1/1 white cat creature token with lifelink, a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying, and a 2/4 white ox creature token. For each of those tokens, you can put an aura from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to it. Yeah, we're not really doing auras, but it's here because it starts as an ox, and when it dies, it leaves another ox. Next up, we have the Longhorn Fire Beast, which has been errated to be an ox, because the original card is 2 and a red for a 3/2 beast. When it comes into play, any opponent may have it deal 5 damage to him or her. If the player does, you sacrifice the Longhorn Fire Beast. So, again, it can come down. If somebody decides to take 5, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine. We get a 3/2 with Double Strike. After that, we have the McKindy Ox, which is 4 and a white for a 4/4 Ox with landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature and opponent controls. Ox of Igdonis, 3 red for a 4/2 Ox. When it enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards, and it has Escape for red, exile 8 other cards from your graveyard. It escapes with a +1/+1 counter on it. Perforos's Emissary is 3 and a red for a 3/3 enchantment Ox. It has Bestow for 6 and a red. It has Menace, and the enchanted creature would get +3/+3 and have Menace. That's it. Now, we also have the Curious Farm Animals. I forgot about that one. Single white for a 1/1 Boar Elk Bird Ox. Sorry. When it dies, you gain 3 life, and you can pay 2 and sacrifice a creature to destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. I believe there was one more. Yep, here it is. Summon Kujata, 5 and a red for a 7/5 Saga Ox, because it's one of those summon creatures from the Final Fantasy set. So it has Trample and Haste, and then it has 3 steps. Step 1 is Lightning. This creature deals 3 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Step 2 is Ice. Up to 3 target creatures can't block this turn. And then the third one is Fire. You can discard a card, then draw 2 cards. When you discard a card this way, this creature deals damage equal to that card's mana value to each opponent. That was a lot of words. But that isn't a lot of Oxen. And so we turn to the things that help us in other ways, like Adaptive Automaton. It's a 2/2 construct, but when it enters, you choose a creature type. It is the additional type, and other creatures you control of the type get +1/+1. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but a 2/2 with Double Strike versus a 3/3 with Double Strike is actually a really big difference. Next up, we have Avian Changeling, 2 and a white for a 2/2 shapeshifter. It has Changeling, so it's all creature types and flying, which Flying and Double Strike seems like a good combination to me. Now, the Bloodline Pretender is a 3 mana 2/2 shapeshifter with Changeling. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, and whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Bloodline Pretender. So instead of making everything else bigger, everything else makes him bigger. After that, we have the Changeling Berserker and Hero. The Berserker is 3 and a red for a 5/3 Changeling with haste, and it has champion a creature. So what that means is when it comes into play, you have to sacrifice it unless you remove another creature you control from the game. When this creature leaves play, that card returns to play. Changeling Hero is much the same, but it's 4 and a white for a 4/4 shapeshifter with Changeling. It has champion a creature, same as the other one, and lifelink. And yeah, they just kind of keep going from there. We have Changeling Sentinel, 3 and a white for a 3/2 with Vigilance. Firebelly Changeling, which is 1 and a red for a 1/1 Changeling with, for a red, it gets +1/+0 on a turn, place ability no more than once or twice per turn. We have the Irregular Cohort, which is 2 white for a 2/2 Changeling, but when it enters, you also make an additional 2/2 colorless shapeshifter with Changeling. We've got the Metallic Mimic, which is a 2 mana 2/1 shapeshifter. As it comes into play, you choose a creature type. It is the chosen type, and then other creatures you control of the chosen type enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Alright, so there's 3 more shapeshifters I want to get to real fast before we get into the rest of the deck. That's Valiant Changeling, which is 5 white for a 3/3 shapeshifter. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature type among creatures you control. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana by less than 5, or by more than 5. That has Changeling and Double Strike. As long as you have another shapeshifter with Changeling out, this thing will always be 2 white mana. So it's really just in here to be a beat stick. Torian Mauler gets in here because it's a shapeshifter with Changeling, but also because the art is and will forever be a bull. 2 and a red for a 2/2 shapeshifter with Changeling. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you can put a counter on the Torian Mauler. And then the final, the arguably best of the Changelings, Mirror Entity. 2 and a white for a 1/1 shapeshifter with Changeling. You can pay X. Till end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. So that means that your Commander Bruce also becomes an Ox. So, yeah. So when I had to shift perspectives to save this deck before I made a complete fool of myself, I landed on multiple combat steps. And some other things. But mostly, I want multiple combats, and I want to make more tokens, and yeah. So I started with adding Full Throttle to the list, which is 4 red sorcery. After this main phase, there are 2 additional combat phases, and at the beginning of each combat this turn, untap all creatures that attacked this turn. So, yeah. Next up we have Relentless Assault, which is 2 red for a sorcery. Untap all creatures that attack this turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. We have the Final Fortune, which is kind of like our we need to win now card. It's red for an instant. Take an extra turn after this one. At the end of that turn, you lose the game. And then the last one I want to touch on here is Overpowering Attack. It's 3 red for a sorcery. It has free running for 2 and a red. Untap all creatures you control that attack this turn. If it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. So the goal is to just get as many lands exiled with Bruce as possible, and then run things that are going to give all of our creatures haste. But also, we're making a lot of tokens, so things like Tocasia's Welcome make it into the deck because it's just going to consistently draw us cards. 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures you control with mana value 3 or less enter, you draw a card. This ability triggers only once per turn, but again, it's pretty good. Song of the World Soul is 4 white for an enchantment that says whenever you cast a spell, populate. And since he wants to consistently make 2/2 White Ox creature tokens, we'll just make more 2/2 White Ox creature tokens. And yeah, not too much in way of like going through artifacts. Most of our instants are the usual suspects. I'm not even really going to read them off. We've got Bovine Intervention, Chaos Warp, Crib Swap, Generous Gift, Path to Exile, Stroke of Midnight, Swords to Plowshares. It's just, the regular things you would see for, like, this kind of deck. There are a couple of artifacts I want to talk about. First up is the Maskwood Nexus, which is much like the guy earlier, there to make things. So it's 4 mana artifact. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And you can pay 3 and tap it to create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. It is every creature type. So this is your artifact version of the mirror entity, basically. And then, we're running just like some other typal artifacts, like Birthing Boughs is a 3 mana artifact, and you can pay 4 and tap it to make a 2/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. Banner of Kinship is a 5 mana artifact. When it enters, choose creature type, enters with that many fellowship counters. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each fellowship counter on the artifact. Patchwork Banner, 3 mana artifact. When enters, choose creature type, creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1, and taps for 1 mana of any color. Obelisk of Erd is a 6 mana artifact with Convoke. When it enters, choose a creature type, and creatures you control of the chosen type get +2/+2. I feel like I'm, making a lot of sense here. And then there's a couple of enchantments that I want to touch on. First up, we have like Inspiring Leader, 2 and a white. Commander creatures you own have creature tokens you control get +2/+2. Caretaker's Talent is 2 and a white. For one of those enchantment classes, whenever one or more tokens you control enter, draw a card, triggers once per turn. You can level it up for a white to level 2. When it becomes level 2, create a token as a copy of a creature you control. And then for 3 and a white, you can level up to 3, and creature tokens you control get +2/+2. So, yeah. It just wants to make some tokens and make them bigger. But yeah, I think, other than mentioning that I have this as a 40 land deck, I think that's kind of where I'm gonna end. And that's good, because I've been going a little longer than normal. I may have rambled a little bit. I'm slowly losing my voice and my mind. So let's just wrap this up here. Thanks for listening. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulpey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.